Hi friends, it's Marie at Living Felt, and today we have a really fun tutorial for you for making felted Christmas ornaments. We're calling them our felt mason jar lid ornaments. Pretty simple, and there are a few different designs you can make, and we're even going to help you upcycle your old Christmas cards or unused Christmas cards to finish off the back. So there's a few different designs here, and what I love about this project is it is absolutely beginner friendly. Even if you're experienced, it's a really fun thing to make. They could make cute gifts. You could definitely make a fair amount in a short amount of time, and it's super beginner friendly. So it's a great project if you want to felt over the holidays with some family or friends, maybe have a little crafting party, and the supplies are super easy too. So these are just darling. There are felt mason jar lid ornaments, and we're going to look at the supplies you need to make them right now. The supplies for this project, we are using Living Felt MC1 batting in just a few colors. It won't take a lot. We are going to be working on our 100% wool felt sheets. And if you don't have those, try linen, try denim, try something else that the wool will adhere to. You'll need a marking device, pen or pencil is fine, something to cut your felt and to cut your paper. We're using felting needles. I'm going to work with either 38 triangle or 40 triangle. Just a, medium fine needle is totally okay. You want some kind of string or ribbon to hang your ornament. You'll need the 2-part mason jar lids, and then some Christmas cards, new or used is fine, that you like the designs, and some tacky glue. Well, that's what we're using, tacky glue, but any kind of white glue will do. That is all you need for this project, so let's jump right into it. We're going to be using our mason jar lids in 2 different ways. So to start with, let's get our Christmas cards and the outer ring of our mason jar lid so that we can decide how we're going to back our ornament. So I have a few different cards here, and we're going to be tracing around the outside of our ring. So you might just take your cards and see how you want that. Like maybe here you want the bow, or maybe you don't care about the bow on that wreath. I have this one that just says greetings, and the design is not so particular, so perhaps you would like to just carve out the greetings and enjoy all the stuff in the middle. This one has a bird, and so on. How do you want to center him? So you can get often a couple out of each greeting card, depending. Like for my snowman here, I got this topper and this happy holidays. So just play with your greeting cards and see what you like. I'm going to go ahead and do this greetings one because it's kind of different. And I'll just zoom in here. And you just want to center it. And then trace around the outside. You don't want your pen to be too obvious because you're going to have to cut that line off. So maybe don't make it so fat or the kind of line that will bleed. You don't use a Sharpie marker or something like that. This is a pen that would, it's a disappearing ink pen. And so there, now I have my little design, and we're just going to cut that out. Cut it out as nicely as you can. Now, some people, you might have some fancy circle cutters and such. I don't have anything like that. So I just have to take my time and cut this out nicely. And cut out right on the line. And if you're a little shy about that, you can cut slightly outside, and you can trim it down again after we glue it in place. If you're making a bunch of these, you may, decide to go ahead and cut out all of your backings. So if you want to make 5, then you can go ahead and get all of your backings prepped, and that way you can just sit down and enjoy the needle felting bit and then put all the backs on once you finish, or as you finish each one, however, but then these will all just be ready. So this is the one we'll use for today's tutorial. Okay. After you have your backing cut out, now you want to get your wool felt sheet, and we're going to be using our ring again. So we don't need to do any tracing actually at all. You don't have to put any markings onto your felt. We're just going to take, in this case, I'm going to make white rings. This is an 8 by 12 wool sheet. This is, I mentioned, our 100% wool felt. And in the little kit that we have, we're giving you a cut of felt. So if you want to make more, then grab these 1mm wool felt sheets, and they can be any color. So this is cotton white. I'm not even using the super bright white, and all of my ornaments are made with cotton white. I think they look super happy and fun. So I'm just going to take a fluff of this cotton white, and in the kit you just get, a fluff about enough to make an ornament. And then what we're going to do is tuck it all under the rim. So notice that I have the lip of the rim up, and I'm just going to tuck all of this wool in there. Now you can just do a single layer if you want, or you can make yours puffy. You want enough wool in place that you don't see the backing through. Whatever is the fabric you have underneath, you don't want to see it through. Then you're just going to take your felting needle, whatever size you have. This is this right here is a 38 triangle, and you just want to poke. First, get all of that middle wool laying down, and then you're going to kind of go into the corners of the rim like this. You don't want the rim doesn't have to be particularly thick, but you want it all filled in so that no bare spots show through. This is such a fast little ornament project. It's so fun and easy to do. You can give yours more dimension if you want. I mean, really build them up, or you can just make them like mine, which is a little bit flat. So all we're going to do is tack all of this wool flat. Now, we said this lesson is beginner friendly. The project is super beginner friendly. So if you're brand new, the only thing to know is that you want to go in and out of the wool in the same direction. So you don't want to try and move the wool with your needle. It's a very fragile tip, and try not to bang onto the metal. So just keep your wool beneath the rim of the metal. And just take a moment and needle felt all of that nice and flat. If you have 2 needles, well, you can hold 2 needles. If you have 3, you can rubber band them together. And this will just make it go faster. Our goal is to get all of this wool laying down. The main thing is, when you are needle felting these pieces or with this metal ring, is to make sure that your needle doesn't hit the rim. If it does, you're probably going to either bend or break a needle, and then you'll be out of needles. So just keep an eye on it, but do keep your ring in place. That's going to be the best method for keeping your shape controlled. We don't want it to get too large. So the design I'm going to do to demonstrate now is this little snowman face with the beanie. If you're experienced, then you already know what to do. And if you're brand new, this little tutorial is going to show you just a few different ways to manipulate the fiber to get the different shapes, and then it's going to make sense to you how to create just about any design you can find and that interests you. So we're going to make the little snowman head with the beanie now. Okay, so we have our white already in place, and that is our snowman face. The next thing I want to do is fill in his little beanie here. And I'm just going to be using the blue. Your kit might come with a different color blue, and gosh, you might want to give him a red beanie. You might want to give him a green beanie, whatever you like. I'm just using this little blue here. And we only want it to come right about, it's about 1/3 up. And to get a nice clean line, I'm actually going to fold the fiber, and then we're going to arch it. So you can just see how much you need and put your finger in there and then pull this off. This MC1 batting is going to be different than other fibers that, if you have worked with fibers before, than other fibers you might have used, because it is a very short staple, which means the length of the fiber is very short and it's easy to pull off into little increments. And what I'm going to do is just give that beanie a line with the fold, and then I'm just going to use my finger to hold it flush. If you have little fingers or little kid fingers in here, they could also use maybe a little stick, or you might try like a not a toothpick, but like a skewer or something like that to keep their little fingers out of the way. Once you tack the fiber down initially, it's going to stay and you don't have to hold it anymore. So just tack down that line and then again, go into the corners, and you can poke at an angle like this. You just don't want to change your angle as you move the needle in and out of the fiber. So tack all of those little fibers down. And again, spend the time to make this nice and smooth and flat. Now, if you are wanting to make your ornaments really a fine finish, then needle felt them down pretty well with your 38 triangle or 40 triangle, whatever you have, and then you can switch to something like a 42 triangle needle, which we color code ours yellow, and that is a great finishing tool because it doesn't leave a big mark. You just have to go back and really poke everything else that's standing up down, and it will make it look nice and smooth and finished. So if you have a 40 triangle or a 42 triangle, that would be good to use, just to make your ornament look really flush. You want to be able to rub your hand across it and the fibers not mess up, because it'll help it last a lot longer as you pack it away and bring it back out year after year. Making it really nice and firmly felted will make it really durable for you. Okay, so now let's give our snowman a little, well, we can decorate his beanie, I guess. So we're going to add just a couple of stripes of white, and you can just pull a little pinch of the white that you have. And I will zoom in here. Let's see if I can just get, oh, we're pretty good. I can get one closer for you. And I've just pulled off a little pinch of this white, and we're just going to drag it from point to point to get it to lay where we want. So whatever feels comfortable for you, I'm going to just poke down a point at what will be the top of his hat, and then draft it into a nice straight line, and then poke that straight line in place, and then finish right here. Poke it all down, and then you can either tear it off, or if that seems tricky, you can just cut it off. But you can take whatever's the little extra and just tuck it down. Because it matches the background of his face, you're not going to know any different. So just get some stripes or dots, polka dots in place, or whatever you like. If you're a hand embroiderer, you might like to, do some embroidery before you instead of this, whatever you like to do. And I just decided to make mine a striped beanie. So I'm going to get my stripes into place. Now you don't have to have the ring here if it's feels a little cumbersome. It just kind of, you want to make sure that you don't go out of your starting and stopping points. And don't worry about the edges looking a little bit rough around here. That's totally fine, because most of it's going to be buried under the rim of the lid anyway. I have my beanie in place with my stripes, and now we're going to do the little ball on the top of his hat. I'm going to make mine red like I did in the first example. But the thing is, I see how I like it kind of sticking up off of the mason jar lid a little bit. So try not to position it too far at the tippy top, because you want it to all kind of stick out. So I've just pulled off a little fluff of the red, and I'm going to kind of ball it up. I do like this to be a little bit loose for myself, and you can make yours super firm if you want, but I just think it's kind of fun that it's a little fluffy. And I can see that I'm going to tuck it just barely under the lid there, so that when, let's see, when we push the lid underneath up, that it will stick out. So just poke it right in the middle. And remember not to put the whole thing under the rim. And you can poke all around the edges. So there it is, and now I'm just going to push it down a little bit and make a nice little ball. If you have yarn and stuff, you might even decide to give him a little pom-pom on top of his beanie. That would be cute too. So I'm not going to needle felt it down all the way. I want to make sure that it fits when I get to that point. But let's give him a face. We're going to take just a pinch of our black and give him some dots for the eyes. I'm going to pull off 2 tiny little tufts. You can make him wide-eyed, like a lot of distance between the eyes, or close together. Gosh, if you have beads or something, you could use that too. There's just no end to the designs or the fun you can have with this particular project. So I just put those 2 little fluffs on there, and I like to just poke those in and give it a little twirl. And if you don't have enough, you can always add more. Sometimes you don't want to poke this too hard with your needle so that it goes all the way through to the other side. If it does, just add more wool on top. I'm going to make this guy's eyes a little bit further apart than the first one. And you just kind of want them to be about the same size. So if you need a little more, just add it. Just poke and give it a little twirl. That will gather up all of those little loose fibers, and then poke it back down. And you can do real shallow strokes. All of your strokes don't have to be like flattening strokes. They can just be little light tack strokes. So now I'm going to give him a carrot nose. And don't worry, see how my wool's kind of poking out from under here? It really doesn't matter at all. I just like to have this kind of anchored in place. I keep going in back and tacking down my white wool as I see it sticking up. So we're going to take our little orange for our carrot, and it's so easy just to kind of shape it as you go. So I'm going to just take that orange and pull it like kind of pull off the end so it's roughly in a point, and then I'm going to kind of fold it into a little triangle. Don't even worry about it being exact, because what will happen is once you lay it on the face, you can shape it. I'll just not make these end fibers too long and loose. And I'm going to put this just right on his face. I'm kind of just going to follow the same direction that I did before. And what you can do is tack down the tip so that you see it goes as far as you want. And then tack inside the perimeter of the wool that you have so that you're sort of tracing out a little triangle. I'll zoom in there just a little bit so you can see. You want to just trace out a little triangle there. And then you can give your triangle a base, and then all the wool that's extra, just use your finger to guide it back over and fold it over. And that's going to give you a real nice clear line. Just fold it towards the middle and give it a real nice clear line. Just like that. Shallow strokes, flattening them all. Fold up this little base here. Now he looks kind of like a duck. Little beaky of a nose. So to finish this design, all we need to do is give him a smile. And I'm just going to take my black wool and stretch it out here. Just pull off a little tuft. And between your fingers, just stretch it and roll it. So I'm just kind of rolling it to get it into a nice long line, and then just shape the mouth however you want. Again, I keep the rim just so I can see where this ends. It's easy to get your design too far out, and I like this sort of goofy, crooked smile. So I start at wherever the bottom of the smile is, and then just guide the fibers up to where you want them. Light, shallow pokes until you get it all where you want, and then you can go back and flatten it all. Now on the very ends, if they're kind of fluffy like this, you can do the same twirling motion and just poke them all the way down. Gather up those loose bits. You can trim it if that's more comfortable for you, but the twirling really works. And you can also do little dots for a mouth or anything you want, any design. I hope that you look at this project and just realize that there's, you know, an infinite number of designs you can do. So I'm going to give my guy little sides to his mouth, little corners, and we'll just do the same thing. Just take a little strip of wool, guide it into place, tuck down all the loose bits, and if you have some that are really bugging you, just trim them off if they're sticking up and you just can't guide them down. Let's do the second side, and we're going to be about done with this design. It goes so fast. These ornaments go so fast. Great for having a little ornament party, great for giving as gifts and little gift tags. So now, once you get your design all done, just go over and flatten the whole thing until you're happy with it. You can give your hat a rim if you want. Any design that you're doing, now's the time to go around and just shore it all up and get everything nice and even and level. So just spend a few minutes smoothing it out. If you have finer needles, like I said, either the 40 triangle, which is our green one, or the 42 triangle, you'll see that those are going to smooth out your design even more because they're less aggressive than the 38 triangle. So you want to just take your time and get it all smooth, because once it's on the ornament, you won't be able to needle felt it anymore. When you are all done with your design and happy with how it's come out, now's a great time to just peel it off of your foam gently. And this is what we have. So now we're going to get our ornament put together, and the first thing you're going to want is your string. So we have our little design all peeled out, and we're going to grab our string or our ribbon and our scissors, and we're going to cut out our shape, but you want to leave a nice perimeter for mounting it onto your lid. So give yourself at least, you know, I would say at least a 1/2 inch perimeter and cut out your little shape. Once your design is all cut out, we're just going to do one more look before we finish it off. So you're going to push the back on, just put your back right into place, and then push it on and check your design. Anything that needs to be flattened or added to, now is the time to do it. So put this on initially, see what you need to needle felt more, do that, and then we're going to cut our string. And what you want to do is tie your string onto your lid before we finish the back. That's going to make it just everything easy. So tie your string on and get it right where you want, and it takes a little fussing, but you might be able to bury the knots underneath the rim. If that's just too much of a challenge, then just bring it up. It doesn't have to be perfect because it's not going to show. You just want to cut it below the rim. After you have cut out the back of your ornament and you have your string in place, now we're going to put the Christmas card backing on it. So this is the card that I cut out with you initially, and you might want to sign it or date it if you're sentimental, and maybe if you're making it with your kids, it's always fun to have something dated that they created. But all we have to do is put glue on the perimeter of our rim, and then we're going to glue our greeting card back on. I didn't really check to make sure that my card that I cut out was the exact perfect size. If it's a little tiny bit small, then you can go back and fill it with a little bit of glue, or you could trim it with ribbon or yarn, or if you have a bunch of greeting cards like me, you could just cut another one. And if it's a little bit large, well, then you can wait till the glue sets and trim off any excess after that. So we have our rim all glued, and I'm just going to seat my little season's greetings right on there. And don't fuss with it too much while it's wet. Just give it a little bit to get tacky, and you can tack around those edges and seal it up. But I put this paper here so you can kind of mash it down a little bit and let it set. Just don't leave it on there if it's going to stick to it. Better to hang it and dry it and get it all in place. So make a few at a time if you like me. And then as far as the designs go, these are all very, very simple. And we'll do our best to see if we can record a few more of the steps for those of you who are brand new. But here we've shown you how to fill in the background, how to get a particular shape, how to form a little ball, how to form little lines, how to form little dots. And you can use these techniques to make just about any shapes that you can come up with. And we have some other videos available on basic needle felting, lots on 2D and 3D felting. So we hope you have fun with this project, and we really look forward to seeing what you make. We hope that you'll share them in our group, Living Felt Friends, on Facebook, and we just want to wish you all a very, very happy holidays. Thanks so much.